In an era where everyone thinks their opinions are so damn important, I'm here to give you a little piece of my mind. Welcome to Unaffiliated the Podcast with your host, B. Seth. Let's go.
All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hello, world. Welcome to Unaffiliated the Podcast with your host, B. Seth. I have a very special guest in the building, returning guest, my brother Adrian. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. Good evening.
Yes, sir, man. The people loved the first one, so we had to get it popping again.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
So, what's going on with you? You good? Everything gravy?
Yeah, everything's been moving. You know, the world's starting to slowly open up. I'm starting to travel a little bit more on the international side, so that's always good.
Right.
And new opportunities are starting to happen here on the U.S. side. So I'm hopeful that things keep moving that way, and we continue to see this improvement, so we can get our lives back to what they used to be.
For
all
sure.
is good.
For sure. Okay, that's what's up. Well, welcome back to the show. Just like last time, we're going to give the people some financial insight. We'll say that. We are not financial advisors. We're not trying to sway you to do anything. Know that there are risks involved with everything that we're talking about. 1 second, though. So, yeah, we are not financial advisors, so know anything we're talking about, there are risks involved. Don't say we sent you. So today, I think last time we talked about real estate investing and all of that. Today, I wanted to focus on starting an LLC. For the girls on Instagram with their nails companies, or the people who are reselling sneakers and they want an actual entity behind it. What are the steps people should take to make an official LLC?
All right, so first we'll start with why the LLC was created. So initially we had what's called a sole proprietorship. So anytime that you're doing a business and you have not legally structured the business, it's considered a sole proprietor, which just basically means you're operating under your name. Issues with that is all the liability exists if something goes wrong. Your personal assets are liable. The benefits of that, of course, is there's less taxation as an individual, as a corporation. Then you turn around and you have the corporate structure. Corporate structure, benefits there are you have the protection if something goes wrong. You have what we call the corporate veil, which protects your personal assets and anything on the personal side. The downside, of course, with the corporation is they're very expensive to operate and maintain, and also there's a double taxation structure there. So then enters the LLC, which stands for Limited Liability Company, which is basically the spawn child of a sole proprietorship and a corporation. You're getting the benefits of both worlds. So the benefit you're grabbing in the LLCs, you're getting the corporate veil, the corporate protection. That's the benefit you're taking from the corporate side. The benefit you're taking from the sole proprietor side is that there is a simpler tax structure with the LLC. So for instance, the LLC is not recognized on the federal level. So when you do open an LLC, you will be opening it on the state level of whatever state you're choosing to incorporate in. The reason for that is because the LLC is not taxed at the federal level. It still has a single taxation as if it's a sole proprietorship. So that is the benefit of the LLC. You're getting the protection, the asset protection, which we call the corporate veil, from all your personal assets, and you're also getting the reduced tax structure, which is only taxed on the state level through the K-1, which then comes to your 1040 easy, which everybody files. Now, with the steps to starting an LLC, first you want to kind of figure out what you want to do. Mm-hmm. Whenever I get a client, I'm always asking them, is this a hobby? Are we making some money here? Are we talking a couple thousand? Or are we talking 10, 20,000? Because that really matters. Yeah. Everybody wants to run and become an LLC to legitimize themselves.
Right.
But if there is no money there, then it's really no more than a hobby. Mm-hmm. And at that point, there is no need to form a legal structure which now has requirements, has reporting requirements, it has tax reporting requirements. all these other things that surround it. So the first thing let's talk about, one, is this a hobby? Or two, is this actually making money, or it has the potential to make money?
Right.
Now, the potential to make money, that's very, very subjective. Everybody's going to say, yes, I have this great idea and it's going to make all this money. So once we get over that hurdle of where we are in that stage, next, what are we doing? What industry are we going into? Those particular choices and those particular answers are going to determine what type of licensings are required, what type of insurances may or may not be required. Are you required to have a brick and mortar? Are you not? These are good things that you have to work through in order to determine the next step so far as what industry am I going in. Most states, they call them NAIC codes. Some states call it industry codes. Whatever the case may be, that code is a determination of what industry you're going into and what requirements and restrictions are needed in that state.
Mm-hmm.
Once we've stepped through that, next with the LLC, of course, is the Articles of Incorporation. So LLCs are a little bit different than corporations, being that they don't have shareholders. They have what we call members.
Right.
So in an LLC, you can have as many members as you want. These members are typically the body that makes up the organization of the LLC.
Are these the workers, or are these the people who put their money up for it?
It could be a combination of both. So members don't necessarily have to put in money.
Yeah.
For instance, you may have a member that he's the money guy, which is not uncommon. Then you may have a member that he's the talent. He may be the guy that knows the industry, so he's giving his time and his expertise, whereas the money guy is just giving the financial component. Right. So the members can be whomever you want them to be, however many you want them to be. And just because you have a proportion number of members, say 4 members, it doesn't necessarily mean they own 25% each.
Right.
Once you've got your members down, now you're ready to start putting together your Articles of Incorporation, which are required in every state. Articles of Incorporation basically step through things, business name, business entity, location, who the members are, as well as who your registered agent is. Now, that's all the easy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you have more than one member, you're going to want to do what's called an operating agreement. Meaning if there's one member, you don't necessarily need an operating agreement because you're not going to fight internally with yourself.
Right.
When you have more members, that's when these operating agreements come into play, because this is how the members are going to govern themselves when issues arise, which will arise. People go in thinking, hey, this is going to be the greatest thing ever, but as soon as money starts coming involved, things start to unravel quickly.
Things change, right.
Exactly. And so that operating agreement acts as the blueprint of how we're going to govern ourselves when things happen.
Do you recommend that for anybody who has an LLC? What if it's just them, their boyfriend or girlfriend, and they're just hustling? Should they do what you're saying with the agreement thing?
I would always recommend an operating agreement if it's more than one person.
Operating agreement.
Yeah, the operating agreement, if it's more than one person, because if it's more than one person, that means there's always a chance for conflict. Mm-hmm. Whether it be a brother, sister, boyfriend, husband, cousin, whoever. If it's more than one person, there's always going to be, I want to do it this way, I want to do it that way. How do we resolve that conflict?
Right.
So if you have an agreement up front that says, hey, when you hit these issues, this is what we're going to do. Everybody signed it. That's how we're going to govern ourselves to avoid, issues later on.
Okay.
So it's basically planning for the inevitable, which is going to happen, which is conflict. Mm-hmm. We're human beings. Everybody wants their own way, their own path. So eventually there's going to be some conflict there.
So what about people who want to start something, but they're more so worried about their ideas just being taken? I'm sure this will get into copywriting and trademarking and stuff like that. I'm sure you wouldn't suggest them to start an LLC. What would you say to that person who's just afraid of losing a really dope idea or business, venture that could possibly bring them some money?
Be sure to follow Unaffiliated the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and now on YouTube.